Welcome to the Lend Academy podcast, episode number 250. This is your host, Peter Renton, founder of Lend Academy and co-founder of Lend It Fintech. Today's episode is sponsored by Lend It Fintech Digital, the new online community for financial services innovators. Today's challenges are extraordinary, with the upheaval affecting all areas of finance. More than ever before, we need to come together as an industry to learn from each other and make sense of this new world. Join Lend It Fintech Digital to connect and learn all year long from your peers and from the fintech experts. Sign up today at digital.lendit.com. Today on the show, we are talking about collections with Capital Collection Management. I'm delighted to welcome Jake Corlyon. He is the co-founder and CEO, and Alastair Canal. He is the president of global sales. Now, CCM haven't been around that long, but they've already developed quite a reputation in the fintech and banking space. And they have, I would say, a fairly unique approach in this industry insofar as they use an empathetic and people-centered approach combined with technology to really become a more effective collections partner. And we go into that in some depth. We also talk about how they've changed their business in response to the economic crisis and the fact that we have tens of millions of people who are struggling like they haven't struggled before. We talk about what's next for CCM and how they're really going to grow in such an environment. It was a fascinating interview. Hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the podcast, Jake and Al.
Happy to be here, Peter.
Yes, happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so let's just get started with some background. Maybe we could start with you first, Jake, and just tell us a little bit of background about yourself and what you've done in your career to date.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Jacob Corlyon. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Capital Collection Management. I've been in the collections industry for 12 years now. I currently serve as the president of the New York State Collectors Association. Before my time here at CCM, I was in-house collections for a large fintech called Bankers Healthcare Group for many years. So, very happy to be here with you guys on the podcast today.
Okay, thanks. And Al?
Yes, Alastair Canal here, president of revenue and sales at CCM. For about 15 years, I was in the financial services space, working for organizations such as Donald Lufkin Generate, then Bankers Healthcare Group, which is, as Jake said, the fintech he referenced there. And then from there, I went to Promontory Financial Group and then did some time with Live Oak Bank, which is the nation's number one SBA lender. So it was quite a great variety there. And I was blessed to work with those companies. And I'm delighted to be here with CCM, running alongside of Jake here, and excited to be on this podcast. Yeah.
Okay, likewise. So let's maybe just give us some background about CCM, explain what it does, and maybe a little bit of the history of the company.
Yeah, so CCM is a unique organization in many ways, in all wonderful ways, and I would have to say, simply put, CCM provides peace of mind, Peter, for the organizations who retain us to work for them, our clients. And there's a lot of ups and downs in the revenue lifecycle, right? So you've got organizations that aren't built and poised to handle those type of tasks. So we come in and provide a really boutique and refined service for them, which is first and third party. So first party is a effort that is more of a software approach that helps the clients kind of take on and collect on debt that perhaps is not delinquent at that certain time. And then we can come in as third party and act as CCM. So first party, we're coming in as XYZ Corporation, representing them sort of as their company. And third party, we come in as CCM, where the debt is perhaps a little bit older and needs some more support and more collection activities at that point. And what makes this really unique and what we're so proud of is the culture that Jake's built here for the past 7 years is really one that's people first, right? An empathetic approach, an approach that is really human. Let's talk human to our debtors and support our clients very well. And in doing that, we get a lot of engagement. We get a lot of people who are receptive to that tact and that approach. And more importantly, our clients feel really good because we're protecting their brand while providing them a really good service that we feel is unparalleled out there in the industry to date. So that, coupled with the nationwide litigation services we provide, right? So we are licensed in all 50 states, so I'll state that, which is wonderful. Not too many groups are. And then two, we provide a nationwide litigation service so we can literally litigate in all of the jurisdictions throughout the country. And it's a proprietary network that Jake and the team prior to me had created. And then lastly, occasionally look at an organization that says, I don't want to hold this debt on my books anymore. I've had it for a long time. Can you consider buying this debt from us? So we will do that as well. So it's sort of that trifecta that we offer is that, first and third party, the nationwide litigation, and lastly, some debt purchasing solutions for them as well. And then there's other ancillary items that we provide as a service, whether it be auto finance, bankruptcy solutions, and things like that. But in a simply kind of stated frame there, that's kind of what we're doing. I'll let Jake talk about the history of the company, since he's the founder of the company. It'd be the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Jake.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, so we were founded in 2013, and our goal was really to change the face of the industry. So for far too long, the collection space and the collections industry has really had a black cloud over it. We believe that our people, coming with that people first approach, very customer centric. I know it's cliche, but we believe that a debtor should be treated with empathy and really provided with a concierge experience so we can get them back on track and have them continue to be a valuable customer to our clients. And our business model was built on the premise that we should rethink, reimagine, and recover an industry that is vital to our economy. So, so that's been kind of our premise and our calling to really why we created this company. And now today, when you look at where we started, it was really, really fintech focused. And now, as Alastair alluded to, we're in multiple industries, and we're continuing to branch out and find new industries that we can get into and help.
Okay. So let's just dig in a little bit. I want to talk about the process, because when you think about collection agencies, you think about people in a call center dialing customers, demanding cash. And obviously it's not a very pleasant experience all round. So you've talked about sort of empathy and building a people-centric approach. How does that actually work in practice?
Great question. You want to take that one, Jake?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's a great question, and I think Jake and I both agree there is a bit of a notion out there and sort of an image or sort of a stigma, if you will, with respect to how the industry at large practices what they do. And that's why the opportunity is so wonderful for us, because of the way we've built our company and the way we practice. It's a mindset that we have in our organization. And the mindset is one, again, you're going to hear a lot about people first and empathetic approach and that unique kind of notion that we put forth. But it really is the model and the philosophy and the principles that Jake and the team have put together that empower our team and we call them account representatives or relationship representatives, not collectors, because they are trained to engage, to listen, to have that ear that says, look, we get it, right? We get it. People have had challenging times. We all have. I haven't. I think anybody who says they haven't is perhaps speaking untruthfully. But at the end of the day, the model that we have is one that is not, let's send out a stack of letters that perhaps have very firm language in them to make people kind of shudder in their boots a little bit. And then when they get that, be reacting from a fear position versus okay, I trust this person. I do have an obligation. They're communicating with me in a really good manner, and they want to help me succeed. They want to help me get healthy financially. So the way we kind of the way I think of it is when our representatives are on the phone, I often hear them say, not these words, but tell me your story so we can really help you write a more successful ending financially. And that's really what they do. And that's what is not being done out there. The old style, the old model is not working. So that coupled with the people, the technology, and our philosophies is paramount. And one more thing I'll add to that, I think it makes a big difference with us, is there's a ton of attrition in this space. I think if you asked anybody who is familiar with the space, they'll say there's a lot of turnover with the people, the collectors, and those who do this task for a living. And with us, it's virtually non-existent. Right? Our people like being here, and that really matters. And that's the culture that Jake has built, that I think is a testament to what our thought processes are here and how we treat our clients and the debtor as well, because they're both very important. They're both very important to us. Does that make sense, Peter? I hope.
Yeah. And so maybe we can expand on that a little bit and dig into the technology side, because I mean, obviously there's. I know that Jake. When I was doing a bit of research, I read how much you believe in using technology to help drive your business. So maybe tell us a little bit about how you're using tech. I read you were using AI as well. So maybe give us a little bit of color there.
Sure. Yeah, so technology is really paramount to our success. When you look at, the industry as a whole, there's not a lot of agencies that are picking up, the latest and greatest technology, really trying to stay on that bleeding edge, cutting edge of technology development. And we've really, tried to focus on that because we believe that, with bringing on technology, we're going to be able to drive and build efficiencies within the process, to be able to do more with less people, to be able to provide a better service and more of that concierge experience for not only our clients, but our clients' clients, the debtors that we're talking to, whether that's a business or a consumer. And our technology platform allows us to leverage its machine learning engine and artificial intelligence to really give it, a lot of the information that a human would have to remember. And we feel that by doing that, it's going to do a couple of things for us. One is reduce human error, which is going to ultimately boost our overall compliance as a company. Because when you look at the collection space, especially in the third-party side, there's a lot of compliance around, what we need to do, and it varies by state. You have federal statutes, so there's a lot for a collector to know as they're working in national portfolio. So what we've done is built all of that knowledge into our collections platform, so that if for some reason a collector over here on the East Coast were to call somebody on the West Coast and it's 8 a.m. over there, and it's obviously earlier than 8 a.m. in California, our system just won't let them make that phone call. If you don't have a robust technology platform that allows you to really build in the compliance pieces, that it's that human error. They're working through a queue and they're trying to get as many contacts in a day as possible to help as many people. So, we feel that using our machine learning engine and using our AI, which I'll kind of speak to a little bit in a second, is really giving us a leg up on the compliance side of things. Then you look at, we're using an omni-channel communications, method. So we've got the standard phone calls, we've got the letters, we have SMS capabilities, we have email capabilities, we can, virtually drop voicemails. We have an AI chatbot. So again, that's where we've taken that AI a next step. So we have the ability to now have a 24/7, 365 collection lifecycle, where if you don't have some sort of AI leverage within your platform, you're not going to be able to offer that. And we find that in today's day and age, it's so important, and especially when you look at the future, when you have the younger generation now that's going to be going into debt and we'll have issues and we'll need to talk to somebody. They're used to more self-service. They're used to going to an online portal or talking through a virtual chat to really self-service their own needs on their own time. So we've built all the knowledge again with all of our client parameters into our machine learning engine, so that in giving that AI the knowledge to honestly do everything a collector could do, except for engage in a human type of transaction. But if somebody wanted to not talk to somebody, they could come right into our web portal or through our chat bot and go back and forth negotiating payment plan arrangements or negotiating a lump sum settlement. And the system can do that and set everything up and send out the documentation. So we've really put a lot of effort into our technology and a lot of capital into building a really state-of-the-art solution with our vendor partners.
So maybe just a quick clarification. I'm curious about, does your technology then, like people are going to respond? Some people respond better to a phone call. Some people respond better to an email. Some people respond better to an SMS. The time of day people respond. Is that all kind of part of what you're offering?
Yeah, so we can extract all of that data, which we do to create, collections models and things of that nature. So we can take that data out of the system and then pull that back into strategy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so then you mentioned that you started in fintech, and maybe you could tell us what are the industries you're operating in, maybe beyond fintech.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, fintech is a big industry for us, right? It's our largest account and customer is Bankers Healthcare Group, $3.8 billion portfolio that we manage for them. So heavy into that space. Additionally, we're in banks as well, right? So the financial services arena, so banks, credit unions, auto finance is a space for us as well. Healthcare is a big space for us. And there's some secondary industries that we are servicing, so like higher education. Shipping is becoming a nice one for us. Professional services as well, we're finding some great success in. So those professionals in the legal and accounting and engineering, things of that nature. And we're always looking and sourcing new opportunities, right? So the beautiful thing about our organization is we're meeting on a regular basis and kind of ferreting through what the industries exist out there are and what those needs are, what are those pain points, and how do we maintain that opportunity and keep growing.
Right. Okay. So I want to switch gears a little bit, and we haven't talked about the current environment yet. And clearly, we know from just reading the news and that there are many millions, tens of millions of people who are struggling today that may not have been struggling 3 months ago. And so maybe I'd be curious to sort of let's just start with how have you seen what's been the impact so far on the let's just call it an economic crisis, I guess we could call it that. So what's been the impact so far on the different business lines and how you're operating as a business?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when you look at the the current state of things with the COVID issues, we really tried to stay kind of out in front of the game a little bit. So as all of this started to happen, we put a lot more focus on, meeting with our clients and talking to them about, what we want to be able to offer to their debtors, and really kind of going down that path of, all right, we're going to need to give people, modifications on their current accounts or deferment options. What do those look like? What can we do? What would you like to approve on a one-off basis? What can we just go ahead and do once we have somebody on the phone? We really want to help these people. And we understand that, because our business model is really created on, if we collect, then we get paid based on a contingency fee. So we really said, listen, we're going to take a step back here, really try to help our clients and really try to help the end consumer or business that owes our clients that money and say, all right, we're gonna take a selfless approach. Let's talk about deferment options, which is, obviously pushing that payment out. Maybe it's 1, 2, 3, 6 months to where we would not necessarily, generate any revenue off of that. But we really felt it important, to the economy and our clients to, really be that ambassador and that brand push for them. So that's been a really big focus for us, and we've seen a lot of people through a lot of our different business lines, taking these deferment options and taking these loan modifications, very well. We've also seen kind of the other side of the coin where people who are still working, or maybe they are, a nurse practitioner or an MD that's working more than ever, in these really hard hit areas. So they, really kind of had more of an issue with timing to, sit down and have some time to themselves. So that's kind of been another avenue where we've helped in like, hey, listen, let us, go ahead and set you up on auto pay and things of that nature. So really trying to help on both sides of the coin there. And outside of that, we've seen still, a lot of people have funds to make payments to our creditors. And, again, too, on some of the more aged debt, we've seen kind of a spike a little bit in offers for lump sum settlements in full coming through our doors that we're able to review with our clients and get those accepted as well.
So do you think that's part of like the stimulus package? Like obviously everyone got their stimulus check, or most people have by now. And then you've also got like even the unemployment that's coming in now that some people are earning more than they earned in their job. I mean, has that been part of what you've been seeing as far as driving that behavior?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. We haven't been, we really sat with our, our group of account executives and really coached them into not, not specifically asking for, money that was in relation to the stimulus or unemployment funds that they're receiving. But we're finding that a lot of people, because debt really weighs on somebody. So if they're in debt, especially if it's old and it's just sitting out there, and they get some additional cash that comes in, whether it's through stimulus or through making some additional money that they normally didn't through this unemployment package, they're really trying to get out there and settle and cure as much of the debt that they have, while still maintaining their ability to pay and take care of their family.
Right. Okay. So then what about I'm curious about the people that were already your clients before this crisis. And so they're already having some trouble. They might have been on payment plans even before. How do you treat those people? Because these are people that were under duress. They may be under more duress, or they may be under the same amount of duress. But I'm curious about if there's anything you're doing for those kinds of people differently than what you would normally do.
Yeah. So, we really talked a lot about our people first approach and how we train our staff to engage with empathy. It's a lot about asking questions, active listening, which is really where our technology helps us, because it allows the collector to really focus on the human that's on the other end of the line, really focus on, really meeting their needs, figuring out what their finances look like today, and creating an innovative solution for them with our clients' needs in mind, to get them some sort of relief or some sort of help and get them back on track. So we found that people who were already in kind of the collection cycle and process before, there hasn't really been a change in our engagement with them. It's more along the lines of, now we're starting to get people who are coming back to us and trying to engage us in working something out.
Interesting. So are you seeing differences between, I imagine you have some business to business type clients as well as just business to consumer. Are you seeing differences in those two types of clients?
Yeah. So the business to business clients, depending on what area they're in terms of specialty. So if they're a restaurant at this point in time, obviously those have been hit really hard, and it's something that it's probably going to be one of the last things to open coming out of this crisis in a full capacity. The takeout business just isn't really doing a lot for them to really make the money that they would from, the sit down service and the bar service that they would have before. So we're definitely seeing differences in businesses that are getting hit really hard. So those, we're still, engaging in the same way and trying to create a solution that solves that problem for them and gets them back on track, or gets them on a program that will ultimately get them back on track. And then you're seeing on the consumer side, there's a lot of relief on that consumer side. Like you're talking about some people are making more money while on unemployment than they were beforehand. So, those consumers have some more money in their pockets, and they're looking to settle up some of their debt for a discount, or working out a payment arrangement now that they have some extra funds. So, we're definitely seeing a little bit of a difference in the behaviors between the two.
Right. Okay. So then I'm curious about with the clients that you work with, particularly in the lending space, obviously Bankers Healthcare Group and the banks and credit unions, these are all lenders. I mean, how should they be thinking about, what is your advice for them that they should be doing differently now when it comes to sort of their receivables that are, that obviously it's been a challenging time and things are different. What's your advice for the lenders when, at the start of this process, for the borrowers that have really, might have just recently taken out a loan?
Yeah. So that's a great question, and it's something that we've really been focusing on, because part of our practices too, it's really kind of looking at what our clients are doing internally, providing some best practices or some coaching around what we see across all spaces to help our clients, and then obviously we're really focused in the collection side of the piece. But what we like to see is, and what we're telling people is they should be looking at their accounts receivable and their entire collections process like a profit center. So especially in this point in time, your collections portfolio can really make or break you as a fintech or as a lender.
Mhm.
So, we're seeing record loan modifications and deferment packages that are coming out here from all of these lending institutions. So we're suggesting that it's very important and that they need to really focus on the plan to bring those people back successfully from that if they're on a deferment, because that's just a pool that's sitting out there that if they don't have a good pulse on what's happening with them and how they're going to bring them back to fully paying accounts again, that could be really detrimental to their bottom line and could potentially result in undercapitalization and possibly going out of business depending on the size and scope. So so we really suggest focusing on that, focusing on gathering data from those accounts. Developing collection KPIs and dashboards is always a great best practice, and then utilizing a strong collections agency partner, one that really melds well with with their mission, vision, value, and really can be an additional source, because as we all know, a lot of lenders, a lot of banks, fintechs, whatever it might be, don't necessarily have as many collection staff as they have lending officers or things of that nature. So you want to be able to use a strong agency partner as at least a backstop to to help you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One thing I'll add there, guys, too, that's really important. It's so simple. And when you have these conversations with banks and fintechs and the chief credit guys and gals who are working in these organizations, you ask them, how often do you touch on your clients? How often do you communicate with them and see how they're doing and kind of have that partnership approach? So if they are keeping it in house and they don't get to the point where they need us, which is always a good thing for them, right? Is communicate, and over communicate. Get your fingers on the pulse of what that borrower is doing, and when you do that, you're more likely to be able to sort of pivot a little bit and perhaps prevent them from going down that road. Again, this is a challenging time here, so COVID's a very unique and sort of challenging circumstance for many. But in general practices, communication is key. So just add that too. It makes a big difference.
Right. So, right now we're still at the early stages of this crisis, and I saw one of the Federal Reserve governors said that they expect 30% unemployment in the next quarter. That's going to impact you guys, right? I mean, because right now the people still have stimulus, they still have unemployment money. If we get to 30% unemployment, how do you prepare for that?
Yeah, so I think as a lender or a fintech, somebody who's a credit grantor, and that person could be a business that extends credit to in form of an invoice out. I think across the board, people need to to realize and understand and take kind of a second look and evaluate their collections, their billing, their recovery strategies, different options that they're willing to do. People who are struggling, whether that's payment agreement options or deferment options. Again, looking at a strong agency partner. We're really here. We're the backbone to help guide these debtors, whether they're businesses or consumers, to get them back on a better financial path and really help them and spend the time that's needed to help them. Where a lot of lending institutions, especially if they're dealing with, say, maybe they're doing a lot of the PPP loans, I know that's taking a lot of their staff's time, and they're pulling people from multiple divisions to really help with that. So that's another area where we can really help. Is we're focused. This is all we do. Mm-hmm. I think people need to be meeting with their leadership teams regularly to review their current state of their portfolio. What's the loss number look like for this month? What's the migrations look like from a first payment missed all the way through the whole cycle through charge off? Then looking at what's coming in on recoveries, and then really mining data. So Alastair touched on that a little bit in the last point, but really, you need the data from these people, especially if they're out on a deferment plan, or if they're just sitting in your accounts receivable right now. Maybe it's a survey that you send out to get some additional information, additional insight that your leadership and business team needs to really adjust models, because lenders are going to continue to lend and do business. So you want to make sure you're getting all of that actionable data from the ground to really be able to change and move your credit models and move your recovery and loss models and get everything in one really cohesive mindset, so that the left hand knows what the right hand's doing.
Right.
And it's very important in this time more than ever, in my opinion, to really have that focus across the board.
Yeah. So we're almost out of time, but a couple more things I really want to get to. I'm curious about this, the notion of when to bring in a third party like yourselves. Like a lot of the lenders that are listening to this, they probably have a system in place where maybe they hand off after 30 days late, maybe it's after 15 days late, maybe it's 60 days. What's the advantage of handing off to you guys earlier rather than doing it in-house for a longer period of time?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's gonna depend on the business and the business needs. But with our solution, since we do provide that full cycle collections solution, we have first party, which is the collections in the name of the creditor. So that's a great addition to maybe you have a couple of staff members that are dedicated to collections, but you need a little bit more capacity. You need a little bit of an overflow valve. We can come in and do that, or we can do the whole thing. Because again, if you just want a group specialized that handles this, that's a great option. A lot of people in lending organizations kind of wear multiple hats, from what we see. So we are firm in our belief that having a really focused group of people handling your collections is really the best bet. And then in terms of that transition to, if you're going to do your internal stuff yourself, getting it over to us sooner rather than later really does help in terms of your recovery percentages. The longer the debt sits out there uncollected, the more difficult it is, or the longer it will take for an agency or anybody to really recover on that debt. So we kind of see the sweet spot anywhere between 60 and 120 days is when we have a lot of clients that place debt with our third party side of the business, and and we get again much better results when we get it sooner.
Right.
And what's very interesting too is when we have a client that utilizes us in a third party capacity, what we tell them to do is it's another point of leverage. So really adjusting the scripts to your internal team, or adjusting the scripts to, say, a first party vendor, and saying, hey, listen, I understand you're going through some tough times. We're trying to work something out with you here. But unfortunately, at 90 days or at 60 days, I'm going to have to, place your account with our collections partner. And, and you'll have to, kind of talk with them and work something out further with them. We find that a lot of people will, kind of say, okay, yeah, sounds good. I'll take your deal at this point. So we find that point of leverage is really important. And then, obviously we would engage at that point on a third party level and really, come in there as more of a problem solver. Hey, what's going on here? I understand, your situation. We've all been there, but let us really come, with a solution that'll work for you as well as our client. We're kind of more of that middle party, really just trying to help both sides.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So then finally, what's on tap for you guys? What when you look through the rest of this year and beyond, what are you planning for CCM?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. I'm glad you asked it, because it excites me, right? So had you asked me that question 3 months ago, I might have a different answer for you, sincerely. Sure. And I say that because, when things hit the fan, let's say, right, to be polite about it, and then crises like this occur, you really see what you're made of. And what was amazing to me was seeing how this team pivoted at the drop of a hat. And a quick story there. So Jake and I are coming back from California out of a show, an auto finance show, and I get the call from Jake basically saying, hey, go home, you're working from home. This COVID thing's kind of blowing up and it's getting pretty serious. I said, you got it. So we got home. That Friday, it was Thursday when I was driving to the office, and Jake said, head home. That Friday morning, I had all my IT stuff at my doorstep. I had my large screen, I had my mouse, my wireless keyboard, the whole 9 yards. IT was teed up on my calendar to make sure I had everything I needed. And then Monday, that following Monday, we're on our call. We had Zoom set up. We have Zoom meetings every single day. And the third-party collection manager said, this has been the best Monday we've had. So when you think about an organization that can literally pivot at the drop of a hat like we did, that really says a lot about, one, the organization of that the organizational abilities and the unified nature of that team, from operations to sales to marketing to Jake to myself and so forth, our president, et cetera. It really speaks some volumes about what they can do for their clients. And I was never more proud, and I think we all were, of each other about how we literally just business as usual. We got this. We got you, client, debtor. We're with you. We're going to help you get through this. So when that happened, we really realized that there's nothing we can't do. If we can adroitly navigate through this storm as well as we have, we are so well poised to succeed and disrupt this marketplace and really change the image, change the notion, change the ideals that are already out there about this industry and make it better, make it more well received. And that's our goal, is to really disrupt what's happening out there. And then as far as numbers go, Peter, we're on track to increase our revenue 500% in 2020 above 2019.
Wow.
And that coupled with, massive human capital investment and massive technology investment on Jake's side. We're excited, man. We're looking to shake things up out there. So it's good stuff. We're really, really proud of this crew that's built this great company. So.
All right. Well, last word, Jake.
Yeah, no, 100%. Couldn't have said it any better. We're very excited. We're super excited getting out here, and it's really, kind of going back to what we touched on in kind of the company overview, where our whole notion going, moving forward is forget everything about the collections industry. We're getting out here, we're rethinking it, we're reimagining it, and we're recovering it. We're recovering for you as our clients, and we're recovering, honestly, the industry as a whole, because it is so vital to our nation's economy to make sure that if credit is granted and extended, that debt is then repaid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. Well, Jake, Alastair, I really appreciate you guys coming on the show. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, Peter.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Peter.
Okay, see ya.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
My father, before he became an entrepreneur, he was actually a credit manager for a construction company. It's actually the first job I remember him having as a little kid. And even back then, he used to say that it was important to be firm but gentle. And I think that's really what I'm hearing the CCM guys saying, is that, being an empathetic collection agency, a collection partner, and really having a people first approach, it's the right thing to do. And it actually is effective. I mean, you're firm but gentle, and you give people an opportunity to tell their story, because there's a lot of people struggling right now. And I think, most people don't want to be treated as an account number. I don't think anyone does. They want to be heard. And I think that's that's the approach that CCM is taking. I think that's probably why they're growing so much. And it is important that I think we maintain our humanity here. And it sounds like it's also the most effective way to try and collect money. Anyway, on that note, I will sign off. I very much appreciate you listening, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Today's episode was sponsored by Lendit Fintech Digital, the new online community for financial services innovators. Today's challenges are extraordinary, with the upheaval affecting all areas of finance. More than ever before, we need to come together as an industry to learn from each other and make sense of this new world. Join Lendit Fintech Digital to connect and learn all year long from your peers and from the fintech experts. Sign up today at digital.lendit.com.